have a pattern of behavior, it's important to go back and understand mental well-being. Okay, that's not good for me. At some point it's useful, at some point it's not. So,
what helps you to surrender to the universe?
you can't control anything, right? You cannot control anything. The only person that is suffering is you. I got bad news this morning.
Welcome to Let's Go Deep. My name is Molly Abduali, and today I'm interviewing Nimrita Dadlani. She is a founder of Pivot, mother of 2 children, and she has an amazing story that can make you cry. But let's go deep today and talk about everything, because the channel is all about well-being, and you are, I think, one of the best people to talk about it.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
such a pleasure to be here.
So please tell me about your childhood, because we always start from the childhood and we start building our personality from this moment. How close were you with your parents?
So I come from an Indian family. I'm the youngest of 3 children. My parents lived and worked in Africa, in Nigeria, when I was young. So I went to boarding school when I was 8 years old. I do come from a big family though, lots of uncles, aunts, cousins. I was very close to my family growing up, and we had a very strong support network, and our family was everything. So I had a lovely childhood.
Oh, that's great. I remember when we were chatting before, you said that going to the boarding school at the age of 8 actually was, you enjoyed it, because I always had this limiting belief, I guess, now that if a child goes to boarding school at the age of 8, it's too early, and they have this separation from their parents, and they become cold and all these things.
I think 8 is very young to be separated from your parents. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I would really struggle if she was to go at this age. My parents lived in Africa and in Nigeria, and they wanted a better education for us. And I was lucky because I was not alone at boarding school. So I went to the same school as all of my cousins. So when I was there, I had 5 cousins there at the same time. So we were all together.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
5 cousins.
Yeah, so you and other people from our Indian community. It was a kind of an expat community that we grew up in between Nigeria and school. So I really loved it. Actually, I loved being in the English countryside, playing lots of sports, and I really loved the school that I went to. So it was a good experience for me. For many people, it's not.
Yes, because I can't imagine sending my kids even at the age of 11 somewhere. Yes. Yeah. And so should we just go straight
deep, Molly? Let's go deep.
So when you were 10, you were studying at boarding school, and did they tell you that your mom has cancer, or how did you find out about that?
I was a little bit older, so it was when I was about 13. Yeah, my mother sadly was diagnosed with cancer, and she passed away a couple of years after when I was 15, which was difficult.
But did you live together, or?
We were still at school at that time. So we were still at boarding school, and we were obviously you're together at holidays. But when she was ill and in and out of hospital, we were still at boarding school and kind of coming in and out.
How did you go? So you were 15 when she passed away. I'm very sorry about that. And I think mother is such a major figure in a girl's life. I know you're really.
I think that obviously losing a parent is very difficult. Experiencing bereavement and death is one of the hardest things that you'll go through in life, and I went through it at a very young age. Your mother, the mother figure, the mother in your life is the pillar of your life, the pillar of stability, security, identity. The mother lays the foundation in the family, really. So, growing up without a mother or losing that mother figure is, very just destabilizing, and it shifts the trajectory of your life, and it changes your personality. It changes everything.
How did it change you?
I was 15. My son today is 13, and it gives you a lot of insecurities, attachment styles. I probably grew up with a fear of abandonment, and it just changes the way that the foundation. You have a much shakier foundation in life, and everything. The way that you are in relationships and what you look for in relationships. The loss of a parent and your mother at this age does go on to have an effect on the rest of your life. So, I think that no matter how much, the family around you or the situation is mitigated, we had lots of cousins and family and, grandparents, but, still losing that mother figure is just completely destabilizing and affects your emotional development then. And no matter how it's processed, it will affect that emotional development.
But what do you think these girls who lose their mothers at a young age, look in a relationship afterwards?
I think that you just really want to be loved. I think that you really just crave that love. I had a lot of love. I had a very loving father and a very beautiful relationship. But yeah, I think you just crave that love.
And did you have someone who would give you hugs after your mother passed away, like another woman to look up to?
Yeah, so my mother has 2 sisters, and her brothers also were married. So I had lots of very supportive women in my life. I was very close to my mother's mother. And I had a lot of love.
That's great.
But still today,
yeah.
I'll get emotional talking about it.
Of course, I think it's for life. Yes, yes, I had my husband passed away 8 years ago, and I even wrote a book about it, how to move on. It's called Moving On. And even sharing this story today, even talking to the kids about their father, I get emotional all the time. And giving, I think I talked about it in many interviews, and I get emotional all the time. So I understand. I think even in 10, 20 years it will happen too.
Yeah, I think that, I'm probably still processing that loss. And my father died 3 years ago, so I'm probably, I'm still processing the loss of my mother. So
how did you process? Did you have therapy around this?
I had a little bit of therapy, but I was also at an English boarding school, so I did have some therapy while I was at boarding school, and but I'm not really sure how well I processed, because so much is happening also. You've got siblings, everybody's really in survival mode. So, you're at boarding school, I moved to London for my A-levels, went away to university very young. I was 18, but I went away, lived in America, away from my family. So really, I'm not sure that, it was processed really ever. So.
Yes, I think that's the issue, that we don't take it seriously. Yes, so in the book Lost Connections, they say that one of the causes of depression is grieving, if you go to a mental health practitioner, they will just give you antidepressants. But in fact, you should be dealing with grieving, even if it happened 8 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. So I think it must be put somewhere in the program that if you lost someone, you have to go and see someone as a must. If you have heart issues, you have to deal with it, and we have to treat our mental health the same way.
Yeah, going through bereavement is the hardest thing to deal with in life, and one of them. And you have to process your emotions. You have to understand them. it's very different losing a parent, in your formative years, as a teenager or as a child, than it is losing a parent when you're a little bit older, all very hard. But, obviously one of the when during your formative years, that will then go on and have an effect on the rest of your life.
Yeah, it will keep adding up. Yes. And I found it very interesting that so recently I was going through another depression in my life, like a different story. But then I do therapy all the time. I'm in therapy for the last 7 years for sure. But then I thought, why would I keep spending money on therapy where I can ask for help from Westminster Mental Health Institute, I think it's called. Yeah. So I asked my GP, they said, you can go there separately. So if anyone is going through any sort of depression, you can find the practitioner for free. And yes, you can tell them what's happening. If you're going through depression, they will ask do you have some thoughts about suicide or something? You don't have to have them, by the way, to apply. And so I'm starting even if I don't think that it's very deep, but I mean it's very a red flag for the moment, but I want to go back there and do it with a mental health professional from NHS for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to talk to people. It's really important to talk about your emotions and to talk about what you're going through and to process them, and with a professional to really understand your history and how that affects your everyday life and how you can cope with what you're dealing with and how to improve your future, really.
Yes. So what happened next?
What happened next?
You went to the US.
Yeah, I went to the US. I studied. I graduated when I was 22. I moved back to London. I had met my ex-husband when I was 20, and I was away at university when I met him. And I entered into that relationship, and I got married young. I got married when I was engaged at 24 and married when I was 25. I went on to have 2 children. I have, my son was born, he's 13 now, he was born in 2011, and I have a daughter who's 9. And I worked, throughout my marriage, and but in kind of more family businesses. And I went, after going through my separation, I founded my startup, Pivot. So that's really, in a nutshell, what happened.
in a few minutes. Yes. But I mean,
it's not deep.
That's
not the deep version.
Okay, let's go deeper then.
Yeah.
So I think in life we have always ups and downs. What was, do you think, the lowest point in your lives so far?
Gosh.
And how did you go up? Yeah.
So I think that the lowest point in my life was 3 years ago, when I went through a separation, and my father had a heart attack, and all in a very short space of time. All these very traumatic life events happened to me, and I was dealing with a lot at that time, and that was the low point. And I have but it's important to say that I went through a really difficult time, but I have and am daily, taking steps to, to come out of it and improve my life and provide for my children and be happy and healthy, and it's all possible. You just have to go through it. These times will come, they'll go, but you just have to maintain some kind of stability and get through them.
So if you go back for a second to this lowest point, yes, can you imagine, for example, maybe in bed and you were like, I don't want to wake up. Yes. What helped you? What was the very first steps you took to overcome it, or to go through?
I have 2 children, so the concept of not getting out of bed You know, and my children live with me 100% of the time. So, you know, there is no, we can't get out of bed today. We might have a lie-in, you know, if it's a weekend, but really, my children kept me going, and do keep me going, and they're wonderful, kind, lovely children. You know, I'm truly blessed with these two people as my children, and they really kept me going. But you know, what I did was lean on my support system, you know, and I'm lucky that I have a support system, and I have a family, and I have friends, and I also did a lot of work on my mental health. So I did see a therapist, and I did see, you know, kind of mindset coach, and I do take steps every day to improve my mental well-being, and you know, I have to do that every day to kind of calm my nervous system and to keep me, you know, mentally, physically regulated, because with a calm mind and a calm body, you can get through whatever life throws at you. But if you're dysregulated, and it's very challenging.
But how long do you think it take you to get back to normal?
I don't know what normal is, but I'm, you know, I still have, you know, ups and downs. It's quite easy for me to, you know, to think about the past, and to think about the trauma, and to think about, you know, the loss of my parents, and to think about all the other losses that I've experienced in life, because I've experienced a lot of loss. So, you know, but when you go back to that, you're just re-traumatizing yourself. So when you think about the past, or you think about these things, you're just, you know, you're putting yourself into back into that trauma. So it's very important to stay in the here and now, to not think about the past, you're re-traumatizing your mind, and to not go too far in the future, because that will give you anxiety and worry, and what's going to happen, and it's all uncertain. So, you know, you really just have to stay in the here and now.
What helps you to stay here and now?
I am all about my systems and my routines. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's all about my systems. You know, I wake up, I meditate, I write in my journal. You know, my morning routine is key to my stability. And, you know, I think it's really important to come back to yourself all the time. Remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself what your values are. Remind yourself what your goals are. Wake up in the morning with a calm mind and a clear head. You know, I'm all about writing down my thoughts and my visions and my my goals, and what I'm excited about, what I'm grateful for. So for me, it's all about maintaining that routine, the systems, and, you know, knowing that with those consistent habits and systems, I will get to my end goal.
What is the end goal?
Peace, happiness, freedom, security. So those are the 4 things in life that we all strive for. You want peace of mind, you want security, whether that's emotional, financial, whatever it is. You want love, happiness. It's about peace and freedom, the freedom to choose.
You know, some psychologists say, so you mentioned that we shouldn't go back to our traumas and re-traumatize ourselves, but some psychologists suggest that every time you get traumatized in the past, you leave part of your soul there. So you have to go to this traumatic situation, go through it, cry or show your anger, but collect your part of the soul that and go through those emotions you didn't process at that time. What do you think about that?
I think that when you're going through something, or you have a pattern of behavior, I think it's really important to understand where that's coming from. You know, why do you keep choosing this kind of partner, for example? Why do you make these choices? Why do you indulge in behavior that you know is not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to go back and understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, you have to do that to process it. Like we said, it's really important, for your mental well-being to understand the root cause of behavior in order to change that behavior. But I think that at some point it becomes kind of it's not productive. It's counteractive to your goals and it's counteractive to your health, your well-being. So I think it's important to go back there, understand it, leave part of your soul there, get part of your soul back. Whatever it is with your soul you're doing, that's fine. I think it's very important, to understand yourself and to have a lot of self-awareness. But at some point you have to really say, okay, that's not good for me. It is not helpful to think about what I've lost, whether that's people, whether that's money, whether that's assets, whether that's, a business, whatever it might be. It is not helpful for me today, for me today and the me tomorrow, to really go back there. So yes. I just think at some point it's useful, at some point it's not.
Yes, maybe to find some balance, yes, between you just move to your goals. If you just get some bumps on the road, like find out where it's coming from and then move forward.
We're all on a journey. The journey will take you wherever you're supposed to go. I'm a full believer in the fact that the universe will take you where you're supposed to go. The universe has your back. It's all, the world and everybody around you is conspiring for your well-being and happiness, and for you to, be happy, healthy, free, secure, loved, all of it. So it's all a journey, you have to go up, down, back, forth, left, right, but you'll get there.
So. What helps you to surrender to the universe? Because I heard it from you before that, but it's very difficult for some people who are so used to take control of their life and all these things. So what helps you to surrender?
You can't control anything, right? You cannot control anything. No matter if if something happens to you and you react, the only person that is suffering is you, right? So you really have to just accept the fact that you don't have any control of the outcome, but you can take every step today to do your best. And what helps me is just keeping a positive mindset. And what helps me is my daily meditation, and it's not long. I don't spend hours meditating. I have a 15-minute routine, every morning, and I do that earlier, quite early, and for me it's just keeping my eye on here and now. Because if I'm not feeling good and I worry and I think, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, and my children and this and my business, and you'll just drive yourself mad. So I think it's just really important to keep grounded and calm your nervous system. All these things, the end goal is for a regulated nervous system. So when things happen to you, you're not, you don't suddenly react emotionally and go into like a meltdown state. Okay, that's, I got bad news this morning. I got some really unhelpful, it was really just not good news, and I could have totally been very upset about it, gone into a snowball thing where I said, why is it happening, and I made a mistake and XYZ, but that's not going to serve anybody. I just have to use it as a learning lesson and I move on.
Yes, exactly. I think this pattern of being able to move on is like a muscle. Yes, you have to train. I mean, and sometimes
it really is.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't have any other choice than training this muscle, and with time it gets easier to.
As I said, it takes a long time, but the brain, you have to train your brain. You have to train your brain to say, no, I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm going to think about today and what I can do today, what I am doing today, because that's not helpful. And worrying is not helpful. You know, thinking about the past re-traumatizes you. Thinking about the future gives you fear and anxiety.
Yes.
So you must stay here and now.
Especially for a single mother. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're juggling a lot of things, spinning many plates, you have to be, you know, you can't spin those plates if you're falling over. So, yeah.
So what are the 3-5 things that help you? Meditation,
my journaling, regular exercise, you know, human connection is one of the most important things. You know, I think, you know, as human beings, we're social animals. You have to communicate, you have to talk, you have to nurture that need for community, that need for interaction and connection. So that's very important. Stability, trying to keep a routine, really.
Yeah.
Routines
I remember
and
you
systems.
said early sleep, less alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. To kind of
sleep is essential.
Sleep and just keeping stable.
What is your biggest fear in life?
To let my limiting beliefs and let my fears stop me from achieving my potential, and my, you know, the vision of where I would like my life to go and what I see for myself and my children.
So what do you usually do when you feel like the fears coming?
I exercise. I talk to a friend, or I see my family, or I just, you know, put that cushioning around myself, which is my habits, my routine, my consistency, my support system.
And thanks God, you are doing well. Your kids are doing well, and you said that you are very proud of them, that they're having good results, and you launched your startup.
I didn't say that they were having good results. I said that they're good human beings and
Okay.
they're very good people. I'm not, it's for me, you know, it's not really about whether my children are getting A stars in school, right? It's just about them being happy and kind people, and, you know, whether you go to this school or that school, for me, that's not really what will make your life successful. It's about your
state.
Yeah, your emotional state, your happiness, your well-being.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Because I think lots of parents in London are super anxious about the schools, and yes, we talked about 11 plus and all this. Yes.
Yeah.
And so what keeps you motivated? Because being a single mother, having your own startup, fundraising, we'll talk about Pivot a lot in our next interview. So what keeps you motivated?
I never want to regret anything in life. So I think that it's about really just making sure that I've done everything that I can do to make every aspect of my life a success or happy and stable, really. And a lot of that is about my children. You know, I want to provide for them. I want to give them a wonderful life, and, you know, they keep me motivated every day. But also, you know, fulfilling my own potential is important, and
Amazing. Would you suggest some books to read to our listeners?
I mean, I think that if you, you know, if you want to improve your mental well-being, I love self-help books. I love, you know, self-awareness and self-development. So I love, as I said, I really like James Clear. I listen to a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I listen to podcasts more than reading, to be honest. But I do read. At the moment, I'm reading a book called New Methods for Women. It's a good one. And I listen to Mel Robbins. I read Dr. Rangan Chatterjee a lot. He talks a lot about stress and you know, lowering your stress levels, and he's a wonderful author.
Amazing. And what's your purpose?
Gosh, I think that purpose is really to serve others is is a purpose in life. So, you know, just whether that's your community, your family, society in general, you know, I think that, you know, I've been through a lot of trauma in life, you know, a lot of loss at a young age. So if I can help people who have experienced the same trauma, you know, whether that's through relationship troubles, separation, divorce, or even just, you know, personal well-being, that's really what I aim to do.
And I think Pivot is the right platform to do it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it's very difficult.
I got a bit shaky.
I couldn't tell that.
Yes.
Yes. I know it's very difficult to share it with the audience and to go through it. For yourself. Yeah. But thanks a lot. And I believe that hearing stories of other people is very helpful when you are going through difficult times. Yeah. Because you see on social media that everyone is so nice and successful. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a highlight reel, isn't it? That's what they say.
Yes. And I thought that when I was going through the difficulty, I thought that it would be nice to have a channel where you can like really dig deep and learn more about people, what's behind all this smile and fancy dresses and all these things.
Yeah. Well, no, I think what you're doing is wonderful. So congratulations.
Thanks a lot for coming, and if you have any questions, please leave your comment below. Find Nimrita. I will leave all the links under the video, and watch the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.